Good morning, listener. Good morning, viewer. It's good to have your company. Although, actually, it's morning now, but when you watch this, it could be afternoon. So, good afternoon, viewer. Good afternoon, listener. Or maybe in the middle of the night. Good night, listener. Good night, viewer. I'm trying to cover all the angles here, Pat.
I was
Have I
just saying
left
you're covering
anything
all the
out?
bases there, aren't you?
Have I left any? Haven't left anything out.
Yeah. And for
Good,
those in
good, good,
Australia,
good viewing, midnight viewer.
uh, and for those in Australia, happy tomorrow.
Don't underestimate that. There's a lot of people watching us from far-flung places. In fact, now that I think about it, I had an email from our friend Gabriel in Canada. I have an
Yeah.
email. I didn't get a chance to look at it yet, but we may have something there. But I just find that stunning. And people go on about what a terrible things the internet's did to people. I think it's fantastic that people can link up like that on such a casual basis. It doesn't cost you a cent. They can,
Yeah.
it's just they were sitting beside you, talking to
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Isn't
Uh,
that amazing? You're filled with wonder and awe at the majesty of the
Absolutely.
internet.
Jude, I've told you before. My grandfather had two brothers who left for Canada, and I'd say in the maybe 1910, 19 whatever, and he never saw them again. Can you imagine if he came back today and at different circumstances, and his two brothers, as far as I remember, went to Canada. Imagine being able to not only lift a phone but actually see them, not only just to be able to talk them, but see them on a video, like about video. Like, the world has changed so much. Like, he would consider that almost voodoo, that sort of stuff, wouldn't he?
That's
You
right.
know,
Black magic. Black magic.
yeah,
And it
yeah,
is kind of magical too, because I remember when I was young, they used to, in the science fiction comics, they used to have things about guys having video phones,
yeah,
and just talking, you'd be watching them as well. And me, I used to say,
yeah.
ooh, boy, it'd be great to have one of those.
Yeah.
And
Sure, I remember as a young fella, one of these science fiction books about the robots would take over. The robots would become more intelligent than human beings, and the robots would take over, and all the rest of it. Jude, what do you call artificial intelligence?
that's what they're saying now. They're fearful that intelligence may replicate itself to the point where it enslaves us all. I think we're all slightly jinxed by that. Do you remember, what was it? Spacecraft, 2001. What was it, that movie?
A Space Odyssey
Space
2001, wasn't
Odyssey, 2001. Do you remember the computer in that took over
it?
and
Yeah.
wouldn't allow the guy to control it? Uh,
Oh,
you could see how
excuse
that
me.
could happen, but not soon. I'm simply overwhelmed myself by ChatGPT. It's
Yeah.
amazing. It's kind of amazing. You should go on sometime, Pat, and ask it.
No, Jude, I did the first time. Although no, the quickest one. I stuck on my own name and see what I got back,
Yeah.
Jude. And I was telling you, an AS Boner, he's the deputy editor of the Irish News. And I said it took a couple of minutes. He says, Pat, I bet you it took a couple of seconds. And I thought about it. Yeah, it was a couple of
Oh,
seconds.
yeah. Yeah, a few
Put
seconds.
on my own name, and out it came. And by the way, I'm a search for the Nobel Prize for literature, according to
Uh,
ChatGPT or whatever it is.
don't
But
undersell yourself, Pat.
uh,
Don't
but
think
Jude,
positive.
it spewed out five. I think there was only two things that got wrong in the sense that I was not born in Letterkenny. They said I was born in Letterkenny. I was not born in a place called Rafo. And I
Mhm.
can't remember the other thing. I got a date wrong, I think. But other than that, Jude, the rest of it, the factual bits were actually accurate.
Do you know what I find really interesting in it? You say you write up a paragraph, an account of
Yeah,
something. Maybe it's what you think about Andy Burnham. Um, and write, say 200 words. Shove it into ChatGPT and say, make this more witty.
structured. Yeah,
Well, witty or structured or whatever tone you want to make it. Um, or if you want it to be laid out in point for, it'll do it. And it'll do it
yeah,
just boom like that. Now
yeah.
that's kind of scary because I do a lot of drafts of stuff if I'm anything
Mhm.
sort of public, and this thing does drafts like nobody's business. Take the same.
I saw it for the first time ever, Jude. There, no, sorry, it was last week. It was a report. I think it was one of these news media, and it said report prepared by AI, edited by a human being. That's the first time I've ever seen that.
Holy God. It wasn't
Yeah.
AP, was it?
It might have been, Jude. It might have been.
Well,
It
it'd
said
be AP.
report
AP
prepared
is
by
Associated
AI, and
Press.
then it said edited by sort of Jude Collins type thing. There's a human then, but in other words, they had fed in information into AI, and then whatever wee bits they wanted to edit.
Oh,
You know,
truth. Well, you see, the big thing there is copyright.
yeah,
It's getting all these little ideas, but then and I suppose we all do that. It's getting all its ideas from something that has been done already, in picking up scraps and phrases and so on.
yeah,
But then we all do that to some extent, don't we? You know, whether we're
yeah,
aware of it or not, if you're writing something, you're doing it informed by all the stuff you've read already.
yeah, yeah.
Anyway, an interesting philosophical discussion, Editor McGarry.
Absolutely.
We'll
Yeah,
have
yeah.
to save it for an evening when we are partaking perhaps of a few jars.
Of something slightly stronger than coffee. Yes, yes. Go ahead.
Okay. Who would you like to start with? Would you like to? Oh, we can't avoid it, can we? Rory McIlroy, Shane Lowry, and the golf that wasn't cricket, as you put
Well,
it.
you see, Jude, yesterday morning I put on social media, and I said it looks like even now golf has become vulgarized by Trump and his supporters. That they, that it's no, maybe it was always there, that sort of thuggery, that sort of boorish behavior. But golf was always, the shirt and tie brigade, and the check trousers, and gin and tonic and all this sort of stuff. But the behavior of the Americans at the Ryder Cup, uh, but I think somebody threw beer at Rory McIlroy's wife,
Yeah.
and like one of the announcers at the venue said, the chant was "fuck Rory McIlroy." She joined in the chant. You know, this is, I was going to say this is not cricket, but it's not golf either. So,
Yeah.
Jude, is there something? Has Trump unleashed something in America that was always there, or maybe no? I know there on previous Ryder Cups it's got hot and heavy in America, so maybe that's a bit unfair. But there does seem to be a downward trend heading towards the gutter in terms of behaviour. This sort of thuggery is now acceptable. Racism is acceptable. Shooting off from the hip. Intolerance is acceptable.
Well, I think
Am
you
I
have
wrong?
something. Certain coarsening of public life. That's true. Trump was at the Ryder Cup, but not
Uh,
yesterday. To see the Yanks being beaten. He was there, I think, on Friday briefly. But to be honest with you, while I agree with all you've said, I'm sure Trump hasn't added any refinement to life generally
yeah,
and to golf. But this is well, there's two things. One is Rory McIlroy has a whole spiel about what they did to his wife and how she was hit with this, and she came and supported him and so on. I just got the feeling here's a man speaking for his little woman. Nobody seemed to have interviewed her. I mean, it was her who was hit with the beer, not Rory.
yeah.
So it's a little bit of the old paternalism there, I thought. Uh, and to be honest with you, I'll save my compassion for somebody who isn't worth 200 million, 200 million and more for putting a little
Uh,
ball into a hole somewhere. But at the same time, and having said all that, I'm glad to see that the Yanks were beaten. And I only hope that Trump was at home watching it and, scraping his fingernails off the.
Now, in fairness, I'd say what is Swiss called Erica Stoll,
Yeah,
Stoll, if I
yeah.
remember correctly. And I think she's a very private person. She keeps
Should
herself
she
to
not have
herself.
her husband's
So
name? Should she not be Mrs. McElroy?
you're just, excuse me, you're reverting to tape there, Collins. What do you,
I ask a simple question. I ask.
yeah, of course you do. You only ask simple questions. It's gone stir it. Anyway, she's apparently, what do you call him? Rory says this is not so on for golf. I wrote it down. I think golf should be held to a higher standard than was seen out there this week. Golf has the ability to unite people. I wonder about that. Golf teaches you very good life lessons. It teaches you etiquette. It teaches you how to play by the rules. It teaches you how to respect people. I didn't see much respecting out there the last day. Was
He,
even the announcer school, chanting fuck Rory McIlroy."
well, he did a bit of effing and blaming back at them at one point. Uh,
He lost a rag at
and
one
you can
stage.
sort of, I can almost hear him saying it, you know. Oh, hey
Uh,
guys, well, shut the fuck up. You know,
uh,
it was believable. But I noticed in all the benefits of golf that Rory cites. He
uh,
doesn't include the fact that you could make £200 million.
hey, golf is the rich man's sport. There's no doubt about it. And it's a very well, up until Tiger Woods came along, it was very much a white sport too. You
I
know,
had a thing up, I think, on Facebook about it, and somebody commented, um, "Golf is golf. Who could possibly like golf or anybody playing it?" And I said, I met a man one time, and he said he liked golf, and he was quite a nice man. But then later on, I discovered he got mixed up, and he actually was talking about hurling. Anyway,
uh,
it was good seeing Yanks being stuffed. No, that's awful hard. I shouldn't be like that.
and of
I'm
course,
a very bad
and
person, really.
it was Shane Lowry scored the winning point.
Oh yes, I thought that was great. That was great.
Uh,
There's something that appeals to me now. I mean, I don't dislike Rory actively, but I do like Shane Lowry. He's a real sort of flesh and blood guy, you know.
uh,
Uh, and he
but
also
Judy,
has.
he'll be able to live off that putt for the rest of his days.
Oh yes, I didn't see it. Did you see it? Did you?
I just saw it. I saw it last night. No, I saw it late last night.
Yeah.
The putt that won the Ryder
Uh,
Cup for
how
Europe.
far? How long was it? Was it?
No, I was about, I think, 20 yards or something. Like, it wasn't a very long putt,
Well, that's not
but
bad.
it was,
That's not bad.
but it was a pressure one.
Oh yes, terrifically proud. And you see guys missing, from amazing.
Yeah, yeah,
I've seen Rory McIlroy missing shots,
yeah,
putts
uh,
from 4 feet, 3 feet, 2 feet.
uh, mm,
The pressure, all sorts of things. It's like kickouts in football. Sometimes it's
uh,
really
uh,
brilliant, but other times they seem
sure,
good.
didn't Mick O'Connell miss a free right in front of the post? And I think it was maybe 1958 or 50, in an All Ireland final. And the next day he went home to Valencia Island in Kerry and went out in the field and took a kick from the exact same spot, and 20 yards out or whatever it was, and didn't miss one. It was the pressure got him.
Tell us this: is Mick O'Connell still alive?
No, he's dead. No, he's
Is that
dead.
right? He was a
I'm
strange
90,
man.
98. I'm 98.9 certain he's dead. Yeah.
Hmm. He, uh, he really was a marvelous footballer.
Uh,
I mean, the ease with which he could dominate midfield was amazing,
uh,
absolutely amazing.
yeah.
And then you carry us to just some good footballers. This latest guy they have is not bad either. Okay, let's not get way laid into sport. Let's talk about the kind of sport that Americans enjoy, which is shooting each other.
Yeah.
A man crashed his vehicle through the front doors of a Mormon church in Michigan, opened fire with an assault rifle. I mean, we all carry assault rifles when we're going for a drive,
Yeah.
and set the church ablaze, killing at least 4 people and wounding at least 8 others. And the police said the perpetrator deliberately set fire to the church, and the thing was enveloped in flames. Um, what do you think, Pat? Why
Dude,
did that
the guy,
happen? Why did it happen in the
Jude,
first place?
I don't know, Jude, but here's the thing. There's a big debate. No Goebbels said accuse others of that which you are guilty.
Hmm.
Trump and these people are trying to say the radical left is responsible for
Oh,
all the violence in America, hence sending in armed troops into Los Angeles
yeah.
and Michigan and Cincinnati and places like this. So there are those who say Trump is preparing for a non-election in 2028, and it looks like there's some strategy involved. But here, let's stick to the point here. This guy is what I wrote down. Thomas Jacob Sanford, former U.S. Marine. Uh, Apparently, somebody Googled his house. There's an American flag, a Trump flag outside, a MAGA flag outside his house. There's been about 6 shootings in the last, say, 2 months. All of them are by white males. All of them are by MAGA supporters. So this sort of thing, these are the guys who believe in guns, America, patriotism, and all this sort of stuff. So this guy, I don't know what he's got against. Apparently he's a hunter, a gun enthusiast, a Trump person, a MAGA supporter, and he, for some reason, former, as I said, former U.S. Marine. So he fits every sort of hole that you wish to push him in for as a typical white male Trump supporter. So how they can try and turn around and say it's a black man, it's a radical left, or whatever. I don't really know where all this is going. But
I,
anyway, the bottom line is the American right are very, very much responsible for all these shootings.
well, it's a pretty grim thing. You wonder, don't you, why do the American people insist on this gun? It comes from the First Amendment or something, so that you have a gun in case the government tries to screw you. That's kind of
The
ironic.
Constitution was written in about 1850 when Indians and or 1772, whatever the hell it was.
Yeah.
I don't think when the founding fathers had automatic machine guns in their minds when they were writing the Constitution. You had a gun to defend yourself, not a semi-automatic M60 or an Armalite or whatever the hell it is.
Well, you see, I often think that future generations, if civilization survives Trump and other people, that in future generations they'll look back and say, "Were those guys nuts? Allowing people to
Mm.
go into a shop and buy one of those bloody guns that can kill any
Yeah,
number of people and do regularly, week after week and month after month." And even now, I would say that that is a crazy thing. How do they let it happen? But then I think every week on the news, people are dying on the roads. I know that's different. That's accident, not deliberately. But we know
mm.
there are certain things that are causing the deaths of people every year, and we're counting them in the hundreds. That's shocking.
Yeah.
That is absolutely shocking. Why the hell don't they do something about that? Either fix the cars in such a way you can't go at such speed, or else fix ways of safety. Or, to be fair to people like Musk and these other people who are with cars, they are making an effort to make cars safer. Apart from speed,
Mm.
they've got cameras that'll show you how close you are to the person in front and the person behind, sensors that'll beep if you try to back into anybody or coming too close to them. Um, there's all sorts of things, but the fact remains that places like the A5, practically every month, somebody's been hurt, and very often the
Yeah.
people are dying.
Yeah.
I have no doubt that among other things, including examinations, actually, I think people will look back and say, "Were they nuts then? Were the people then not crazy? Why did they allow that to happen?"
Mm.
Am I
But
wrong to hold?
the Americans at this stage, the Americans will never get rid of their guns.
No, no.
What was it I read somewhere? What is it? The population of America is something like 300 million, and there's something like they reckon there at any given time there's 500 million guns in circulation. Like when you think about that, Jesus Christ! Like I worked in America as a young student, and I remember this guy worked along with him. One day he told me I got he had about two pistols, a couple of rifles, and something else. And he drove away and he came back. Oh, by the way, Pat, I forgot to tell you, I've got an M60 or something. Came back to tell me what the other. And I thought, Jesus Christ, where did we get these people? Dude, they love their guns.
Yeah,
There
yeah.
are numerous mass shootings. And all Trump and these people can go is our thoughts and prayers are worth the victims.
Hmm.
They don't do anything about it. And the NRA has bought the senior politicians like them. Some guy. Remember, there was a guy called Paul Ryan. He
Yeah,
was on
yeah.
something like 200,000 a year, and anyway, by the time he ended up, he only spent a short time in Congress, and he ended up, I think, as leader of the Republican Party in
That's
Congress.
right.
He was worth something like 12 million. How do you go in 10 years from 200,000 to 12 million?
Mm.
Like the contributions and the donations, and somebody was it Paul Newman says that politicians should be like race cars, they should have their name of the sponsor on them. You know, you know,
That's
yeah,
very good. Yeah,
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 yeah.
dead right there. Mind you, it's funny. When I was in Canada, kids used to, this is high school now, the boys used to talk about having gone out with their dad hunting, you
Uh,
know, I don't know what they were hunting. I suppose it was small ducks or something like that. But
Yeah,
it was definitely a sort of a rite of passage for them, and they
yeah,
really
yeah,
liked it, and were excited by it. When I was a kid, about our house there was an air rifle, little
yeah,
pellets. Did you ever see those?
yeah,
The
yeah,
kind
yeah,
of
yeah.
thing you get in fairgrounds. And it
Yeah.
was fun, There's no doubt about it. It was
Uh,
fun using them. But given the price that people are having to pay with their lives, that does seem
mm,
crazy, doesn't it? Um,
uh,
and I think if I was going to say it now. I don't know. I don't know if you'd agree. Would if you look at Netflix or something, right, and check out
yeah,
the trailers for about five or six recent films. Inevitably, it seems an awful lot of them will involve guys with guns,
yeah,
explosions, people with blood all over them, dead bodies lying
yeah,
there. You know, Drama must be about more, and life itself must be about more than this kind of thing. Surely do you
yeah.
think that is influencing people to see this as somehow part of life? We go out with a gun in your hand.
Absolutely, Jude. Like I know several people now, just to follow on from it, that um, like even the young people, their attitude towards sex is now based on this sort of stuff they see on TV and on
Oh,
video and all the rest of it.
hmm.
That there's and so on. Jude, all these things, I think, what is desensitize people to a lot of things. Jude, the violence on the video games, no beheadings and shootings and all the rest of it. I think a lot of young people are sort of thinking, like, it's no big deal.
That's true.
Like, Jude, someone, when I see what's happening, we're not going down this road again, but see what's happening in Gaza, Jude, I can't watch it.
No,
But
I
like, I
know.
think we've almost become inured to it.
Oh no, I don't think I could ever become inured to it. I agree that every night you know what's going to be shown, but I don't think it takes away from the disgust you feel. I mean, the horror actually. I tell you what really gets me is those little white bags with
Uh,
bodies in them, and what
uh,
are obviously children or babies. And then you have a chat from Netanyahu telling us this, that, or the other.
yeah.
Stop me. Um,
uh.
Let's see, what else should we go to? Oh, yes.
The first
President.
presidential debate
Yes, I was
on
going to say,
tonight, and I can
speaking of blood sports,
say,
presidential
Jesus, Jude,
debate.
someone. Normally presidential debate, a wee tremor of excitement about it.
Yeah,
Jude, I couldn't give a flying whatever. You know what? Jude, here's what apparently the setup. I was listening to RT this morning. Jim Gavin is going to be near. It's on Virgin TV tonight.
yeah.
I think I can't remember the guy's name now. Anyway, he's the interlocutor or presenter, whatever the hell you want to call it. He's at a desk. Jim Gavin's beside him. Catherine Connolly's in the middle, and then Heather Humphreys at the end.
Hmm.
So, in other words, there's two government ministers or two former government, Fianna Fáil, uh, then the Penton, and then Fine Gael.
Yeah.
So, you know, it, it does absolutely nothing for me. Like, I'll watch it because I'm sort of almost, I feel, pardon that expression, duty bound to watch it, but there's no sense of anticipation in it.
Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah. I suppose if you stop to think about it, maybe it's better that way. Because what are we looking for? It's a sort of a blood sports without the blood. We'd
Uh,
like to see them getting stuck into each other and stiffing each other with a really savage reply of some kind that'll cut the ground from under them. And that's not good. Actually, the truth of this is entertainment. This is
yeah,
entertainment. I mean, what does it tell you after you've watched them? It tells you if they're good or bad or hopeless and arguing on TV. I mean, is that the
yeah,
thing you want from your president? To be able to argue really well on TV? I don't think so. I think you want your president to be decent, to have principles, to be for, in my opinion, a united Ireland soon, and
mhm.
other things like that. But being adept at debating, I mean, that's a particular skill. And you could be really smart, really principled, very good visionary, know exactly when to intervene as president or not intervene. And it would have nothing to do with how well you can debate or put down your opponent.
Yeah. Like, I've seen Jim Gavin on a couple of occasions, No, he must have had someone because he was able to motivate the Dublin GA team to unprecedented
Yeah.
levels of success. But Jude, personality-wise, I've seen nothing on the screen that says, "Oh, gee, isn't he a riveting personality?" Bollocks! I've seen nothing.
How did
Catherine
he do it
Conley,
then? How did he do it? You always imagine the manager in the dressing room really
aye,
charging his players up. He must have.
well, look at Alex Ferguson and Pep Guardiola. You can see the fire in them, and
Mm,
so on.
mm, mm,
I don't see that in Gavin, but maybe that's me missing something. But
mm.
anyway, and then Heather Humphreys. Heather Humphreys comes across as a very nice woman, etc., etc. But Jude, you know, the last time, and I had a wee bit of a role. No, somebody like Maverick, like Peter Casey, in there saying stuff that maybe he shouldn't have been saying, and a couple of the Dragons Den. There was always outs for the commentators and the pundits that someone they could lay on. This time, you've got former minister who's safe, a Fianna Fáil guy who seems to have, Jim Gavin, who seems to have nothing other than his football background, and he seems very respectable and all the rest. Catherine Conley is the only one as well a wee bit of cardite about her because she's had to go with Germany. She says the rearmament sounds like the 1930s, and she's had to go with Israel about the what do you call it. And I heard somebody on yesterday saying, remember, words matter because when you are president of Ireland, you are speaking for the people of Ireland and all the rest. Well, if she stands up and says what's happening in Gaza is wrong, she's certainly speaking for me.
Well, I mean, yes, but I mean, what else could you possibly say about Gaza other than it was wrong, more than wrong?
Uh,
It's a terrible thing. But Heather Humphreys, I heard somebody talking about her today, or not today, yesterday. I'm trying to think what it was. Oh, yes, they quoted Heather, and she'd been asked about a United Ireland or a border poll, and she said she definitely, yes, she supported the idea of a United Ireland in 10 or maybe 20 years' time.
mm.
What do you think of that?
That's the old kick the can down the road.
Yeah.
I remember you interviewed somebody, didn't they? And they said, "Oh, there will be a United Ireland, but not in my lifetime." That's that a union is covered, or maybe I'm making that up. But there was somebody I remember reading and saying, "Yeah, as long as it's not in my lifetime, it's somebody else's problem." Or maybe there will be a United Ireland in 20 years' time. Like it's a very safe thing to say, isn't it?
Well, Heather was saying also, of course, you really have to work at reconciling people to each other and so on. And you
Yeah.
get, on Nolan's show, you get people who will say the kind of thing about if you can't unite the people of the North, how do you expect to unite the people of the North and the South? You
It's
know,
it's one we've kicked on and I heard Jim Gavin on. He was asked on what I think it was Thursday or Friday. He says, "Oh, I know about Irish unity." He says, "We have to unite the people first and the territory second." Dude, I think that is the greatest cop out in history. No, do we have to sit here and wait for every unionist under the sun to sort of agree to unite Ireland before they unite Ireland? If that's the case, dude, we will never, ever. The nationalist people in the north who have had to put up with a sectarian state for 100 years or whatever, who have had to be second-class citizens, who are still under British rule, where do their rights and their
hmm.
considerations come into play and all that?
Well, you see, I think they're afraid of violence. That's the long and short of it. They're afraid of violence. Uh, and I don't think they should be afraid of violence. I mean, there's such a thing as the law, and presumably the law in both the North and the South should be upheld and will be upheld regardless. And if you have loyalist violence, then they should have that infiltrated. I would have thought decades ago. I remember a young loyalist woman, very smart, about 15 years ago, saying if there was a backlash from violence from loyalists after a united Ireland, that they would be mopped up in no time because she says they're
Yeah, Jude.
obviously totally
I, I,
infiltrated.
I used to know a loyalist. He's dead now, God bless him. And I used to know him quite well. And he told me, he says, he spent time in jail. And he says, look, I don't think, he says, see, today with modern cameras, with, people have stuff on their phones, with, closed circuit cameras on every street corner. He says, plus the fact that, he says, any operation is going to be compromised very, very quickly. He says, secondly, He says the Brits won't be on our side the next time. They won't be getting information like they did in the past. And the Brits will, and the Brits were passing on information to the loyalists. Seeing the next time, if the Brits withdrawn and they say it's going to be an Ed Aaron, they're not going to be on the side of the loyalists. So, I was an old journalistic friend of mine who was well known. Eunice said to me one time, he says, he says, loyalists, he says, couldn't pull off a stunt, he says, without British help,
Mm-hmm.
like they weren't brains of Britain. Johnny Adair was not a brain of Britain type,
No, no,
people like that.
for sure, for sure. Uh, I think the difficulty is to get people like the Southern politicians, and it would be a good thing. If I really would be a good thing, and if Catherine Connolly is the most sort of definite in terms of a united Ireland, then I think that would be grounds alone in that for electing her because it's being mentioned more and more. It really is, and it's not just through us, Pat. Although we do
Right.
our
I
bit,
should
we
hear
do
someone. I
our
heard it
bit for
on
Ireland.
I do hear, but I heard it on RT today. A big debate got up. There's an increasing number of people putting up Irish flags, and it's a bit like the Unionists or the Loyalists do it in Loyalist areas. And the big discussion was basically the implication is that they're doing it to send messages to keep immigrants out of here. This is
Oh,
Ireland, and in other words, they're weaponizing a flag. And I heard a couple of people on saying this morning, why? What's the issue with with flying the Irish flag? This is our country, and we should go up. What do you think of that?
I think I was talking to a guy who talked about the how they're going to prosecute people for flying the tricolour. Uh, and he said he didn't say these bloody immigrants. He said, "Oh, how are they going to police that? Good luck with that. They haven't a chance of it." It seemed to me a slightly ambiguous response. Um,
Yeah.
see, the flag gives people a nice, simple thing. Now, how could you be against the flag? So if I wave the
Uh,
flag, then whatever I'm for, it has to be good as well. I just sort of think it's kind of despicable. I think flags should be banned. They're too bloody easy. That's the truth.
hmm.
I think we get maybe even the tricolour too often. Uh, but certainly the Union flag in Scotland, now in England, apparently it's all over the place with
Yeah.
the Reform Party. So I guess people feel that it encapsulates their nationalism. I think it's a load of bloody rubbish. If they would do something for their country rather than go around waving a flag. I mean, it's childish almost, isn't it? I've got a
Yeah.
flag, so
No,
I'm a
Jude,
good person.
see, I saw a thing on social media the other day. I was in West Donegal, but these guys are putting up putting up the flag of our country, and they're all these right wing, and they're saying we're patriots. No, Jude, they're weaponizing the flags. I think they're more motivated by racism than patriotism.
Uh,
They want to, Jude. How do you put this? You look around. A lot of I've seen people here, and I heard on the radio this morning those I'm glad to get everything. My wife was down in Buntana this morning, and she said she saw, and she says quite obviously it was a foreign family. She's a father with two kids, and he was carrying two bags, dude, and it was raining at the time, and like that is not a nice life. The Irish when we went to New York and all the rest, dude,
mhm,
certain Irish got into trouble. A lot of them
mhm.
ended up in jail. A lot of them were drunks. A lot of them actually got the gangs in New York. If you want to read the history, they were quite serious criminals.
Yeah.
You know, when people come to a new place, inevitably they're at the bottom of the totem pole. They're the poor, and they tend to be criminals, and they tend, but that's part of the cycle of life, but a lot of them climb very quickly, and a lot of them are very decent people.
That's
Like,
right.
and about 20 years ago, a lot of the Poles came to Ireland first, and I remember, oh, them fucking Poles or whatever, Polish people. See, now, Polish people are all well respected. They're the technicians, the engineers, they're the guys who fix your car.
And this is it. You see, I think there's a thing happens to people, and it happens with Irish people as well. They come to their new country that they're committed
Yeah,
to, and they work like demons because they take every advantage. They feel they're going to create a
yeah,
new life as well in the new country.
yeah.
And I just think it's ridiculous. I would say I would, here's a rough guess. I would say at least 80%, maybe 90%, or maybe 99% of those people really want to get a job and work and,
Yeah,
raise a family and pay taxes. What the hell
yeah,
is the country doing or the state doing?
yeah,
But they don't harness that. It's sticking out of mile.
yeah,
We're
yeah.
running short of time now, a couple of minutes. Just what I refer to an incident where there was foreigners. A foreigner was assaulted in Temple Bar. It was actually it was a quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
You're
The
Steelers.
quarterback is the
Yeah,
guy that he's the key man. I used to watch
yeah,
American football and Canadian football, which is very similar. And the quarterback is the man. And he
yeah.
was in Temple Bar at 2 a.m. in the morning. What was he doing at 2 a.m. on his own?
No,
He jumped.
apparently he's injured, so he wasn't going to be playing. But hey, hasn't he a great name? Skylar Thompson.
What?
Skylar Thompson.
Oh, was that
Whatever happened
it?
to Pat or Jude? She's Skylar.
The poor guy. It doesn't say much for what sort of why put yourself in the shoes, Pat, of that group of guys who said, "Here, no, we'll do. We'll beat the shit out of this guy coming along here. He looks American too. So this is our idea of fun. Beating up half a dozen of us, beating up one single guy.
Yeah,
Pathetic.
yeah.
I mean, you talk about the flag. That flies a flag of intolerance, and it's not something Ireland wants.
No.
That,
Yeah, apparently, I don't know if this guy was out on his own, but apparently they stole his phone as well.
uh,
You know, so whatever,
but,
Jude. It doesn't do us much good, and
no, no,
and Jude, let's get clear. Dublin has become a bit of a rat bag in the sense that the number of assaults
has
is
indeed.
clearly getting
Uh,
a wee bit out of
Oh,
control.
okay, Pat, we're almost out of time. We're just about out of time, in fact. Thank you very much for your presence
On that note,
today,
Jude,
and we'll
uh,
see you. Who knows? Might see you on Wednesday, but certainly we'll
might see
see
you
you
on
on
Wednesday,
Friday.
Jude.
Okay, all the
Okay,
best,
Jude.
Pat.
All the
Thank you.
best, Jude. Bye.
Stay
Good
out of
luck.
the
Bye
rain.
bye.